Welcome to the Uncle's Channel. Thanks for watching today. And the Halloween season is quickly approaching us, which means we need to talk about Dragon Quest Fantasia from 1988. And most of you are probably saying, like, Dragon Quest, why is Dragon Quest part of the Halloween season? Just take a look at this slime right here that is melting inside this skillet. And you can't tell me that it doesn't belong in a 80s horror movie in some form or fashion. Now, Dragon Quest Fantasia is the only live-action Dragon Quest movie that has ever been made, and it's a mixture of live-action with the Tokyo Metropolitan Symphony Orchestra, and it sort of goes back and forth between the two. It's about 40 minutes long, and if you just take out all the live-action scenes, you're looking at maybe like a 20-ish minute movie, and it tells the story of essentially the first 3 games, and it's all silent film or all just orchestrated behind it, so there's no dialogue. But if you've played the games, you can pick up on quite a bit of stuff from the first 3 movies, and they do a fantastic job of bringing all of the basically monsters and creatures from Dragon Warrior or Dragon Quest, depending on which region you're from, but they're bringing all of these monsters to life in practical effects or stop animation, and some are just really cool looking, some are very horrifying looking, and some are somewhere in between. So today we're going to go through the entire Dragon Quest Fantasia film, at least the live action parts of it, and break down exactly what's happening here and just sort of analyze and, you know, enjoy the practical effects as they come around. Now, the film opens up following the heroes. He's journeying through the field and journeying through the wilderness, trying to find the king in order to get his official mission to take out Draco Lord himself. And he doesn't actually have a weapon, he just simply has a club, which is accurate to the game as well. And the opening scenes here as he's journeying through all of this can be a little bit on the dry side. But if you wait it out, then nightfall comes, he has to set up camp for the evening. And when he does this, you know, he's getting himself some supper cooked and all that. And then a slime falls from the tree directly on his shoulder. And the slimes are always supposed to be portrayed as like a cutesy, adorable Pikachu-like creature for the Dragon Quest series. But this slime here is like something straight out of a horror movie. It's got like a little bit of a sticky substance on it, which, I mean, it is a slime. And its eyes begin to slowly rotate over to the hero. Hero freaks out, as he should, and then he throws it into the skillet that he's cooking his supper in. And we get this disturbing imagery here of a slime melting away inside the skillet. And so they're like taking some of those beloved children in this era and just giving it a very, very gruesome death here of it melting away and its little eyes as well. I mean, it is a horrifying image that would stick with most kids from the 80s. And if that wasn't bad enough, then an onslaught of slimes begin to fall down from the tree here. And like I said, his only weapon is a club. He begins to knock them back and forth like a baseball bat. One slime actually gets like caved in pretty much, which is sort of disturbing. And then it begins to pop back out. And the slimes, I guess, are like almost invincible unless you fry them up in a skillet here. And the slimes, when they jump at you, have like a little slime behind them. I'm telling you, they like completely took the direction of what slimes were for this game and just made their own story out of them here. No one would want to journey into any forest if they had a potential of a onslaught of slimes coming at them. But the kid freaks out, runs away, and the slimes just simply take over his campsite. And then the scenery is going to change a little bit because the hero does make his way into the kingdom. He talks to the king, he talks to the sage, gets like his royal blessing, gets his mission to go take out Draco Lord, and then he journeys off into the marketplace. And at the marketplace, he does purchase his first sword. I think it's the leather sword as well as the leather shield. I think is what's inside the game here. It's like your first weapons that you're going to purchase. And honestly, like the imagery here, as far as like the costumes and such, it matches up pretty darn close to the Dragon Warrior games on the NES. And so, like, I feel like they did a pretty good job, you know, replicating that for the live-action film. And then the hero exits out of the town here, continues on his journey, and we're going to slowly start building the team from Dragon Warrior Part 2 here. Because you're going to meet the prince from the second game. He's just sort of lying about in the field, and he's going to agree to join your team, which is sort of accurate because in the second game, he's found inside the inn resting. And so to find him lying in the field, sort of accurate. And then you have Princess of Moonbrook is also going to join your team, and she has like magical powers, almost like flame attacks. And there's one point where it's actually like showing off her attacks, and the prince is so impressed, he like literally just drops his weapon or his staff like out of shock of like how impressive the fire effects are. But regardless, they begin to gather supplies for their journey, set up camp for the evening, and there might be a little bit of overkill here to have like 6 or 7 fires going about for their campsite, but at the same time, not a single slime attacks them, so maybe that's what it takes to ward the slime off. And then the story picks up on the next day where the hero and his crew are talking to a sage, and the sage instructs them that there is a prisoner who has a map in order to find Erdrick's sword in order to take out Draco Lord. And so the kids begin to journey around the village here, trying to find the jailer's key. They talk to all the different merchants in the area, and they finally come across one merchant who's clearly the executioner, works for the jail, gives them the key. They go to the jail, unlock, free the prisoner, gets a little map here, and it shows them where to go in order to get Erdrick's sword. Now, when you go to the cave to get the sword, we have our next amazing special effect here, because we're going to get to see, well, first off, like a couple little scorpions off to the side. Great little stop motion animation. I really enjoy that. A couple like little flies from the game as well. They are trying to give homage to a lot of different creatures that you're going to fight, and more are coming. But as they travel through the cave here, there are going to be some skeletons scattered about on the ground that are going to step on, get sort of grossed out, because like little worms are going to be crawling in and out of them. And like, what kind of fantasy movie would it be from the 80s if you didn't have the skeletons of fallen warriors scattered about the cave? I mean, they sort of had to follow into that. And eventually you're going to get to the wyvern here. And the wyverns have always been like a weird creature inside of Dragon Warrior anyway to me, because it's like a mixture of like a worm or a grub worm and a dragon here. And they did a really good job of bringing it to life. I mean, it looks just like the sprite from the game, and begins to sort of hop about throughout the cave trying to attack you. At one point it even like grabs the hero's sword, sort of swings it around a little bit, but eventually only by teaming up, but really mainly the apprentice from Moonbrook, they're able to take out the beast. And you can even see like his eye is beginning to bulge out of his skull here from the damage that they did to him. They really enjoy eye damage in this particular film, and we're gonna get to more in a little bit here. But after they take him out, we get our first like collage of all different beasts throughout Dragon Warrior. The first one we're going to see is the undead army begin to rise from the grave, and these are actually really good looking special effects for the undead army. Looks very close to the game, but also if this like appeared in a current day fantasy movie, I wouldn't think anything about it. I think it holds up pretty well. And then we have the sorcerer, who looks like he is straight out of Power Rangers. And truth be told, like even in the game, he has that exact same mask. And so they are being accurate to the game. He casts a little spell here, brings a fire demon to life on the wall, also directly from the game. And then we have this demon goat that begins to appear. And I don't know where the demon goat is at inside the Dragon Warrior games, but I know he's there because he's on the cover of the Dragon Warrior 1 and 2 for the Game Boy Color. But he begins to arise here, and it is a terrifying looking image. I mean, like if you went to like a haunted woods or something and this thing popped out, that'd be like the best haunted woods you could ever go to. It has like that slimy, disgusting ooze over it, almost like it just got birthed from the ground or something. I don't know. A terrifying little image here. And then we have the golem begin to rise from the ground here. It's not really a horrifying effect, but it's still pretty cool looking and is very accurate to the game. We have a couple of nightmare creatures that begin to emerge from the shadows. And then we have the best practical effect of all within this segment, which is going to be the green dragons. And the green dragons, like I said, they have like the smoke coming up here. They look like they are just possessed beyond all measure. They're breathing the fire out. They have that sort of a slimy skin as well. I mean, they did a fantastic job on the green dragons. Honestly, like all the effects in this one little portion here are pretty top tier, and I wish they like actually did more fights with them, because we're not going to get to see any fights of these. Just simply a demonstration of what, you know, creatures from the game or the creatures that our hero is going to have to fight eventually. But just simply that they included them is pretty darn cool. But we continue on journeying through the cave here. We find Erdrick's sword begin to drop from the ground. Has like, you know, like a sword and stone, sort of the glow about it. So we know we've got the chosen one sword here. And then we're able to set sail on the seas. And it shows a variety of different landscapes from the Dragon Warrior 2 and 3. As you're journeying around here, you got like a little desert scene, a mountain scene, different characters from those games at the same time. I don't know all of them real well. If you know them below, you can let me know in the comments, but I think you're either collecting the orbs from the third game or the seals from the second game. And so these characters definitely appear, and they're harkening back to someone. I just don't know them off the top of my head, except for one, which is Ramia, who's the flying, almost like Phoenix. And you can see her image flying through the air here as well. And so they are really trying their best to harken back to multiple games. But eventually we collect all the orbs or all the seals, and we make our way to Draco Lord's castle. And this is such a haunting effect here, journeying through here. The fog is coming out. The coloring of sort of grayscale is just right here. You have the main castle itself looking completely decrepit. You have the dragon head statue on the top. I mean, this is a great effect, or great set or scenery they've done for Draco Lord's castle. You go into it, you once again have all the fallen corpses along the way that Draco Lord is either eaten or killed off in the process. You make your way all the way up to Draco Lord. He initially looks like the ooze creature or ooze monster from the Power Ranger movie, but he quickly transforms his way over into the dragon that pretty much the entire Dragon Warrior series is known for. And at this point, it's going to be an epic showdown between the three of you and the dragon. And at first, the dragon is doing pretty darn well here. You know, he's breathing out fire. We're trying to block it. And eventually the hero begins to try to climb the wall. The dragon sort of sees him off to the side, and the dragon's like, ain't no climbing wall on my watch. Turns his head, getting ready to blow his fire out at the hero, just sort of eviscerate him here. And the Princess of Moonbrook takes her staff, throws it, hits the dragon right in the eye. I told you the eye damage was not over yet. Hits him in the eye. That gives the hero just enough time to jump off of the wall and get on top of the dragon's head and slam his sword or stab his sword directly down into the dragon's skull here. And that is going to be the end of the dragon. Dragon, you know, obviously you can't survive a sword to the skull. Falls over here, and at this point the dragon is killed off. The castle begins to collapse. We rush our way out of the castle. We get out of the castle. We get an awesome little effect here of the castle imploding upon itself. I'm sure they actually had like the little castle built, had like little explosions in it. I mean, I'm sure it's like probably that big on their set, but they blew it up. It implodes on its own, and at this point the grayscale of the castle and the area begins to transfer colors over to the bright flowers, just like it did inside the game, because when you finished off the final castle, the entire landscape would become all flowery and colorful to show you the darkness has been vanquished from the atmosphere or from the world. And at this point the sword of Erdrick does begin to slowly disappear, because it has served its purpose for this journey, and it will reappear again in the future if needed to take out another evil threat. But overall, it is a very game accurate film, and if you haven't played the games, the film is still fun to watch, at least for the practical effects, but you're not going to get like any of the overarching story except for the fact that you're a hero trying to take out this massive dragon at the close of the game. But if you have played the games, you get to see the individual characters from the Dragon Warrior franchises. You get to see the individual creatures or the monsters you're going to fight off. You get to see some of the individual side missions that you do throughout the game, like collecting the jailer's key. And so like obviously there's a ton of stuff that they left out, but just the fact that they put anything in there and create this live action film just for a home video release with practical effects to this level or this degree is pretty darn impressive. And also like just simply listening to the orchestra music in the background or having the orchestra sort of clip in here and there. Obviously I took the orchestra clips out for this particular video. If you want to watch the entire video, it's on YouTube. I'll put a link to it down below here, but you can see the clip in between the orchestra and the live action if you want the full 40-minute experience of Dragon Warrior Fantasia. But overall, I enjoyed the film. I think it's fun. I think it brings to life the game pretty well, and I enjoy practical effects from the 80s, and so a fun, spooky little Halloween movie to go through at this time that you might not have seen before. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, check out my other videos, list stuff above, and go out there, find a great game to play. Simply have a great rest of the day.